Weight loss, two of the most dreaded words in the English language. And it's been one of the most frustrating topics and battles in medicine for many reasons. You know, for many people, it's never been as simple of an issue as eat less and move more. It just does not work or fit for everyone. Now we have drugs that are called GLP-1s. And surely you've heard of them, but you need to know about them. They are changing the conversation in dramatic ways and changing bodies really at a pace that we've never seen before. From dramatic weight loss to diabetes control to even having an impact on things like drinking. All of these things are being seen, and these medications are being praised by some, criticized by others, and misunderstood by most. So how do these drugs work? What are the benefits? What are the risks? And what happens when the injections stop? All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Current Temp. Thank you to Lexus of Memphis. You all know it. We love the men and women there and the product. Phenomenal product. Go by and tell them we said hello. They would love to see you. And right now, I want to say thank you to my guest. You have seen her before. Veteran physician and family friend, Dr. Terinell Beaver. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Now, we've got a lot to talk about, friends, and today we're going to talk about how to separate hype from science when it comes to this thing called GLP-1. Now, you may have seen some of these words already. I'm just going to run through a few of them. Ozempic, Wegovy, Rybelsus, Mounjaro, Zepbound, and there are more on the way as we're moving even from injections to tablets. You're about to see a whole lot more advertisements. So what is going on? These things seem to work, and people across the globe need to lose weight. So what is it? It's called a GLP-1, and that stands for glucagon-like peptide. That's the GLP, a glucagon-like peptide. So the next question, of course, is what in the world is a peptide? Well, a peptide is an amino acid, and I'm going to have the physician here weigh in on all this in just a moment, that regulate the processes of the body. So without getting into too deep of a rabbit hole on this, a glucagon-like peptide is emulating this peptide that regulates things like immunity, hormone balance, your skin health, and of course can impact weight loss as well. So what in the world does a GLP-1 do? How does it help? It regulates your blood sugar and your appetite. And I saw a graphic earlier that said it actually talks to your stomach, it affects things in your brain, and it affects things in your, I believe it was pancreas or your...
pancreas and intestine.
And it signals fullness and slows down how your stomach empties.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
All right. That is my intro.
Okay.
And I know that you have been studying this just to talk about this episode. Let's start with how does a GLP-1 work?
Well, it's a glucagon-like peptide 1, so it works like glucagon. So what glucagon does is it stimulates insulin secretion to help with a blood sugar control. But glucagon itself will increase your blood sugar. So the glucagon-like peptide helps to change the metabolic pathways to a more favorable pathway metabolically, and that's what promotes weight loss, in addition to the changes in the brain and the reward system, which the newer ones are more likely to do that, and also has the effects on the GI tract to slow things down.
Okay, so let me recap. From what I've read, people I've talked to, research I've looked into, out of the gates, it makes your stomach feel like it's emptying slower.
Yes.
And so what happens is you literally feel full with needing very little food. And, you know, I think we're living a culture where everything's supersized. And so we're used to just ingesting these humongous amounts of food. And these GLP-1s go, wait, slow down. You don't need as much food as you thought. Is that where it signals the brain that kind of makes you feel satiated?
I think the brain signal is separate from what I understand. The brain signal involves the reward center. And so you don't get the drive to use food for a reward. And then also it stimulates other hormones that tell you that you're full. So some of it is a black box. They're not sure exactly how it totally works,
Right.
although there's a lot of ideas, and a lot of ideas are emerging about how it works. But I believe the current idea, is that the effects of the brain are separate from the satiety effects. And that's why they work together and why the drugs are so effective. And also why the newer generation of drugs are even more effective.
Right. My understanding is they're learning as they go.
That's right.
But even these first iterations have been deeply tested and are showing remarkable results, and they seem to keep improving. It seems to me, and one of the words I heard that I'd never heard before that I completely identified with is it said, these drugs help you deal with food noise.
Yes, especially the second generation ones.
Talk about food noise.
Okay. Food noise, that has to do with the brain's reward center and the dopamine pathways, where if you feel anxious in the past, you say, oh, I need to go get a Coke and some chips. And then you just think, I need a Coke, I need some chips. And then when you get them, you just can't eat them fast enough.
But it's not food-based. It's more emotional almost.
Well, and it has to do with neuronal pathways in the brain that have become activated. And they get stronger and stronger as the time goes on because they're looking for the reward and looking for the reward, and they're used to getting it.
Right. Okay, so I want to recap this as well because to me this was fascinating. We are inundated with ads telling us you need to eat during basketball games, during the food, Pizza Hut, burgers, Taco Bell, food, drinks. People are eating and drinking in the shows themselves. And so your brain starts to go, well, I need that. Even if you're not feeling the actual hunger pangs, what these drugs seem to be doing is helping to silence that noise where even if you're watching it, you don't go, I need a Dorito.
Well, and also the manufacturers of some of these products, these fast food products, add a lot of things that just contribute to that. There's a lot of added salt, a lot of added sugar, and that just pours gasoline on the fire, so to speak, that you want that more and more. And also, if you'll notice, the advertisements are looking at people that when they're using the Coca-Cola and the Doritos, they seem very happy and it makes them happy.
It's like a drug.
And so that reinforces that you need this to be happy. And so the brain's getting the message several ways. And so the drugs sort of help to tone that message down and stop the circuit in the brain, the neuronal pathway that says, I need this to be happy, I want this to be happy, and that stops. Well, it doesn't stop, but it becomes manageable.
Yeah, it dampens it.
And how these drugs came about was the original drugs, like Byetta, was used to treat diabetes. And so not only did the patients come back and their diabetes, their A1C was much better, people started noticing that they were losing weight. And as they asked the patients, are you really tightening up your diet or what's going on with this weight loss? The people said, I'm not sure. I just don't want to eat. I don't think about food all the time. And so that's how they got down this path of using these types of diabetes drugs for weight loss after they noticed the diabetics were losing weight.
We're a country that has a long history of mistakenly finding cures.
Yes.
I mean, whether it's Velcro or chocolate and peanut butter or Post-it notes, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's an amazing point. It did start out as a diabetes medicine, and they've realized, wait a minute, we may have cracked this code.
Right.
And now this has become, so we're in the finance game. Many of you know that. We study companies and earnings and what these companies are doing. This is a global phenomenon.
Yes.
And there are a lot of countries, not just the U.S., that battle obesity problems.
Yes.
And this is having a major impact. In fact, let's just take the U.S. Restaurants in the U.S. are already having, this is a fact, having to deal with consumers are eating less amounts and don't want the giant plates overflowing with food. They are looking for a different type of experience because their neurons are now firing a little different. And this is what I'm going to get into next. I'm pro this movement. And what I've been amazed by is the negativity, condescension, and pushback from much of the world of, you got to do it with willpower. You're weak. You don't ever take a pill. If you can't do it, I'm going to shame you. I think that's all wrong. Now, I haven't even asked your opinion yet.
Okay.
You can agree or disagree with me. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that's terribly incorrect to tell people that. If that were the case, these medicines wouldn't be working to the extent that they are. So there is a biological basis to this, or else the medicines wouldn't work.
Okay, let me jump into that because you just said a key word. When I was doing this research, one of the things that kept coming up was this is really a question culturally of the controversy is biology versus willpower, where there's an argument, I think, to be made that biologically we've almost trained ourselves to need this Polly want a cracker, I need reward, where you have the other side going, you need to rub some dirt on it and tough it out. What are your thoughts? What do you think biology versus willpower?
I think in this case, it's clear that it's biology. When you take the medicine, you do need to make some changes in your lifestyle, certainly.
Sure.
But the medication helps you to do that. And then studies have shown if you stop the medication, you get right back where you were before you started. And it's not that you hadn't developed new habits, it's the biology changed back.
Well, you're saying something I hadn't even considered, which is if you're on a medicine that is helping your neurons fire in a different way, you take that away, all of a sudden the food noise is going back up.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And possibly even more so.
Wow.
It could have a rebound effect. Look at it like blood pressure medicine. People go in to see their doctor, they have high blood pressure, they're put on blood pressure medicine. Then they're followed up for a long period of time. They're told that this is a long-term medication. But a lot of them, they say, well, my blood pressure is normal now. I don't need this blood pressure medicine anymore.
Right.
So they stop taking it.
And it goes back
guess
up.
what? Their
Back
blood
up.
pressure goes right back up.
Right.
And so you need to look at these medications like they're long-term. And also, I think where some of the cultural pushback has come is people have used them for vanity and not for true health-related issues. I do not think they should be used for vanity. I certainly do think they should be used for health-related issues. And it's quite spelled out what those are. They use the BMI, which is sort of antiquated in a lot of people's mind, but that's what they use. If the BMI is greater than 30, then that's just an indication on its own. If the BMI is greater than 27 and you have some other issues such as cardiovascular disease,
right,
diabetes, sleep apnea,
right,
then it's indicated for a lesser BMI. And now studies have shown with the first generation GLP-1s that the people that have been taking them for some time have had a decrease in their cardiovascular incidence. So it's promoting heart health maybe in a way that we don't know about that's independent of just weight loss.
Yeah.
So the heart health has increased. Everything across the board has improved metabolically for the patient. And, they're more comfortable. They can do more things. Their joints don't hurt.
Right.
They possibly can be tested and no longer need a CPAP machine for sleep apnea.
Yep.
They can decrease some of their other medications, including their blood pressure medicines, because the weight loss has helped control some of the other issues.
That to me is what's astounding and encouraging, is that carrying more weight than you should affects everything.
It does.
It puts a stress on all of your system, your organs, your heart, everything. And people that are taking these and seeing improvements, and I'm not gonna openly disagree with you. I'm gonna give another tilt to it. I am not against anyone who wants to lose weight getting help if they need it. And, you know, in a perfect world, it would be for me, only though, you know, in a perfect world, everyone who is really unhealthily obese would have access to this. But I kind of look at this, and I've never had any cosmetic surgery. But if someone out there wants cosmetic surgery to make themselves feel better, as long as they're not on the far end of the, you know, kind of losing themselves, my opinion has been if it improves your self-image, that's great. I want people to be healthier. And if we've got a medicine that will help do that, I'm all for it. Now, let me ask you this. The research I saw said that women actually react better to it than men. I saw research today that said, and they believe it's the way the female brain, the neurons are mapped out, that exact thing you were talking about, that they see more of a dramatic impact on women to men. Have you seen anything about either one of those?
I think that's emerging. It could also have some hormonal aspects as well as the neuroregulation.
Okay.
So it's probably multifactorial. Medicine is not one size fits all, as we talked about before. And so men and women are different. And you need to look at them that they are different. And so this new medication class affects so many things that it's not surprising that they're going to affect men and women differently.
And every person is different.
That's right.
And I want to make sure I'm sharing this, because when I was in the weather world, people would ask me specific questions all the time that I would think, I need more data about you to answer this. And
yes.
Will I see a lightning bolt on my street? Well, I don't know. Medicine's the same way. You get asked general questions, and you've really got to slow down and go, listen, every person is different. Every situation is unique. That being said, who do you think is a good candidate for this?
Well, going back to our little disagreement about the vanity, I think that this should be monitored carefully with your physician. As we talked about in the last segment that I was here, it's important to have a physician that knows you.
Right.
And I'm afraid that some of the people using this medication for vanity, they're just getting it in odd ways, like on the internet, or they're going to a clinic where they've put, say, a B12 molecule onto it so it's no longer proprietary, and they're just getting it. And nobody's really monitoring them or watching them or talking with
regulating
them or knowing about them. And so I think that's one of the big dangers of using it for vanity.
Okay.
Also, it's quite expensive, and there's going to be a big demand for it. And then if you have people using it for vanity, it might take away from somebody that really needs it for their health. So there's a lot of things to think about with that. If somebody wants to lose 5 or 10 pounds and they don't have health issues, yes, you can make some lifestyle changes to do that. You have to keep up with those lifestyle changes. And possibly their neural system and their endocrine system is not impacted by those 5 or 10 pounds like somebody who needs to lose 40 pounds.
Right.
It becomes a whole different agenda as far as the body is concerned. You can just carry a little extra weight, and you don't have all the food noise, and it's just a matter of lifestyle creep maybe that you haven't had a health issue. We're talking about people that have a dysregulation either in their hormonal system or their neural system, where this medication goes into the receptors in those systems and blocks that. And so if you don't have that deficit, you don't need that to be blocked. And so I'm afraid with the vanity people, they don't really need that to be blocked. Yes, it might help them with the 5 or 10 pounds, but then are you going to stay on it long term, like 30, 40 years?
We're going, because I love you, we're going to lovingly agree to disagree. But I do agree with everything you said.
Right.
And you touched on a couple of things that I want to even expound on. This has been such a global phenomenon that we have compound versions of this everywhere. And to your point, that's not always safe, 100%, because it's not regulated.
That's
you don't know what's going into it.
Right.
That being said, this is such a success.
Yes.
There is so much interest globally, not just the U.S. or the Southeast where we fry everything, that in other countries, China and India in particular, some of the earlier patents have already run out. And so they are able to generic some of these.
Yes.
The popularity has gone bonkers. And what I foresee that we're going to see in this country, when that begins to happen and patents begin to drop, we're going to begin seeing tablet versions at Walmart, at Walgreens on the shelf. You're going to be able to pick these up eventually because there is such a global demand to help for people wanting to say, help me stop eating. To me, it's kind of diabolical because it's almost a problem we created ourselves just through consumerism and how we blanket the Pizza Hut ads, the Taco Bell ads, like you said, come get it, come get it, come get it, come get it. And now we've eaten ourselves into a food coma. I'm
open to changing my mind on that, but that's just where I am right now.
As a physician, I think you are solidly grounded. And I mean, everything you said makes perfect sense. And I get that. And I also agree you really need somebody to help guide you.
Yes.
And there should be a regimen of, I got to pay attention to my exercise, my diet. I can't just wish it away with a magic pill. You do need to put effort into it. I completely agree.
Well, and also, I have seen cases where people stopped eating to the extent that they became deficient in vitamins, such as B12 and some vitamins that are just really necessary. Or unless you maintain a good protein intake, you're going to start losing more muscle mass than you want to, along with the fat. So those are some things that really need to be monitored and looked at and thought about.
Well, there's a brand new pill coming out now.
Rybelsus is out.
There's a new one. I don't know if it's Rybelsus. Maybe it is. That is supposed to not take away your protein. They said it does not impact your muscle mass. I don't think this one's hit the market yet. It's going into last phase treatment.
Okay.
But this is how you started it off, saying we're seeing advancements. Mm-hmm. We're nowhere near done seeing the effects of what this can do. And again, early reports coming in that it helps people who have alcohol addictions.
Yes.
They're not drinking as much. I don't know if there are other addictions like that.
Nicotine is one
as well.
Also. And I've heard some drug use as well. And it goes along with these interfere the reward system in the brain. So you no longer think about that kind of reward and you don't seek it out. And then when you do seek it out, it's not as rewarding to you. You don't get the pleasure from it. That's blunted. And so you give up. And especially if the noise is turned down and you don't really crave it anymore. And so there is such a thing, I think, as food addiction. They're eating disorders, as you know. So it's amazing what's going on with all this.
We're almost completely on the same page, and I will always defer to you because you're the expert. So let's do this. I'm going to give you the final word. You have been a physician for decades. What are your closing thoughts, suggestions, ideas? What would you like to leave?
I think that there is definitely a place for this. If you meet the criteria for inclusion, which is BMI greater than 30 or BMI greater than 27 with a health-related issue related to your overweight, then you need to really seriously consider taking this class of medication. But you have to understand that it's a long-term commitment, very long-term, and that it's not something you stop and start, and that this decision needs to be made with your health care provider and monitored, because some of it, some of the earlier ones we're familiar with long-term, they've been around long-term. Mm-hmm. But now we have a huge population that's going to be on a sort of relatively new class of medicine long-term, right. And some of the information is still emerging.
Right.
So it's important that you stay in touch with somebody that is not only monitoring you, but monitoring the information.
Yeah, right. Side effects, developments, new data that's coming out.
Right. And again, some of the newer meds might be a better fit for you.
Right.
Then, we know it's a long-term situation. Well, the medicine you started on might not be the best one for you, say, in 10 or 15 years, and you might need to consider changing within the class of medicine. So there's a lot of things to look at here.
Well, and to add to that, we've gone from injectables to now
Oral.
oral tablets,
Right.
which have exploded. They thought that the injections were popular and there was a shortage of compounding. And now this has like changed the whole paradigm again.
Yes.
So we're literally having this conversation as it's unfolding in
Yes.
real time. And to your point exactly, let's say if we met again and talked about this in 3 months, we would have new data
That's right.
to go on and probably new medicines to talk about.
Yes. It's going to be interesting to see how this impacts the field of bariatric surgery, say, gastric bypass and
Yeah.
these type of procedures. It might make them obsolete.
Well, why would you have a lap band?
Right.
If
you don't have
it's
to.
less intrusive,
Right.
right? Yeah.
And less complications. There's no surgical complication with this.
Yeah.
So,
No, fascinating. That's why we have Dr. Terinell Beaver on, because she's the expert and I'm just a dummy who sits here and pokes at things. Thank you for being. Any other things you want to add to this?
It's sort of changed my mind about this.
Tell me how.
You know, when I trained in the 80s, you know, the standard line was eat less and exercise more.
Right.
And that's about all we had. And now this has opened my eyes that it's a neural pathway dysregulation as well as a hormonal dysregulation. And so you cannot exercise that away.
Wow.
But now we have something to regulate these dysregulations, and it's amazing.
It's astounding, isn't it?
It is astounding.
What a great way to finish this, and thank you for offering that. How you've watched. I'll equate it to when I first started in television. You know, there were no computers, there was no internet, there were no cell phones. The TVs were big and fat, and now here we are, and they're wafer thin. We're seeing the same thing in medicine, and it's remarkable.
It is remarkable. I just hope that there will be good access, and that the right people are getting the right medicine.
Responsible.
That's why I'm a little concerned about the vanity.
And I get that. And I agree. Yeah, you guys hear me. I agree with her. I know how smart she is. All right. Thank you for being here.
Oh, yes. It's my pleasure.
I didn't even mean for us to talk this long, but it was.
I hope that we covered it in an accurate way that was helpful for people.
Let me tell you something. The last time you were here, it was one of my most watched episodes, and it went crazy. So thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And we're going to have her back, I promise. Hey, friends, listen, we're opening up also for sponsorship applications. If you or a team or group is interested in reaching a smart audience, and I know you guys are because I run into you all the time. We'd love to hear from you. Here's how you get in touch with us. Email us at thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. We'd love to have that dialogue, and we will be back with more topical fun, and we will have Dr. Terinell Beaver back as well. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Y'all have a great week.